Hello. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. My name is Axel from Get Speaking English, and we're gonna do this crossword today. I know I forgot to play the video. I forgot to, there's usually a little video that I play during the little countdown that describes how this is going to work. So I'm gonna take a second to explain how this is going to work. It's not super complicated. We're gonna work collectively on this crossword here. That means that we are going to do it together. I'm going to lead the conversation. I'm going to let you know which question we are going to work on when. So I will let you know which one we're looking at, and then I'm going to give you additional clues, information, all sorts of handy stuff to help you figure out the answer right along with me. And then if you think you happen to know what the answer is, put it in the chat. I am live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. The best place to play is on YouTube. It seems to be the fastest there. So, and hello, Farron, welcome. Hello. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, I know I don't usually do Thursdays, do I? I've been doing this on Wednesdays and Fridays. I couldn't do it yesterday. It just didn't happen. Thursday might actually become a new day for this because Fridays is challenging. But anyways, right. So yeah, anyways. So I can see the comments on all three of those locations. But like I said, it's probably best to play on YouTube. Actually, I'm gonna fix my thing briefly so I can see the comments better. Hello, Jacqueline. Welcome. It's good to see you. How's it going? I hope you had a good week off. I wasn't here last week. Anyways, yeah. So I had a hard time finding a good crossword today. They're all a little bit tricky. This one seemed to have the least amount of trivia in it compared to the others. There's a lot of like place names and stuff and some of the other ones. So we are going to try this one. I don't know if we're gonna get through it. But we might be able to get through it. I don't know if I'm smart enough to get y'all through it. But I think we're gonna start in a different place than usual, so we can start off strong, maybe. And figure it out. Gosh. So let's start with number 6, actually. Let's start with number 6 across. 6 across here. To head out. To head out. What does it typically mean if we head out somewhere? It basically means, you know, we go somewhere. We could say maybe to the store, for example. Or to work, for example. Probably from home, right? So we are looking for a 5-letter verb here that we might use to also say that we are heading out, that we are going somewhere. Leave. I believe that this is leave as well. L-E-A-V-E. Welcome, Gloptical Illusion. I really like your name. That's a great name. Leave. Yeah, I think that this is leave. So let's put that there. And see what else we can do. A weaving machine. 6 down, not just one machine, multiple machines. So I'm going to put an S here. A weaving machine. To weave means to basically combine threads. Threads together to create fabric, basically. And there are these really big I want to say they're machines. There's these machines that you might use for weaving on. I'm going to show you a picture of this machine so you can see what I'm talking about. And we may or may not know the name of this contraption, but it's very big. You can see here that it's designed to put some of the threads are the little individual strands of, I guess, material. So some will go one way, the other will go the other way. They'll sort of intersect, and then that will weave the material. And these machines are called looms. Exactly. L-O-O-M-S. This is a loom. This big, huge thing. Exactly. And it is used for weaving. Awesome. Great job. Actually, I'm just showing this one because I think this one looks really cool. I think this is an old-fashioned one. Anyways, it looked really nice. Okay, anyways, all right, moving on. Moving on. What else can we do here? Pick from the menu. 12 across. Wait, questions. Okay, wait. Wait. Questions are native English speakers allowed to participate in. So this is actually, yeah, this is actually for people who are learning English as a second language. That is the intention. Yeah, so not really for native English speakers. So yeah, so I would definitely prefer if it was just people who are learning English as a second language. So I will say that. So that's why I'm giving all the additional clues and information about everything, so we can learn a little bit along the way about maybe the meaning of these words or some new vocabulary, that sort of thing. So all right, awesome. You can help us if we're stuck. How about that? You can help us out, maybe. Sometimes things get a little bit tricky. Moving right along though, number 12 across. 12 across to pick from the menu. The menu in this context is like that kind of that book you get at a restaurant, right? Little book you get at a restaurant that tells you all the different dishes that are available, right? So we are looking for a verb here. 5 letters. Order, maybe. I think that order is exactly what we were thinking of. You're gonna order. If you're gonna pick from the menu, you're gonna pick something from the menu, you're going to order it, probably. So let's pop order in here. Awesome. So far, so good. So far, so good. And then last but not least, let's do this one here. The 7 down. 7 down to drop the ball. So a little bit of an idiom here, but to drop the ball, if you drop the ball, it means you had maybe some sort of responsibility or a job. So you had some type of responsibility, like you were responsible for doing something, and then you didn't do it. So if you drop the ball, you had some type of responsibility, and you did not do it. Okay, so basically, you kind of made a bit of a mistake. You erred. Exactly. E-R-R, we know is that kind of a fancy, very fancy way to say to make a mistake. We've seen this word before lots of times. Very outdated. We don't typically say this except for maybe in a couple key phrases, right? To err on the side of caution might be one phrase that we might see this in, but typically we don't really use err in day-to-day normal casual conversations. Very formal, but awesome. Awesome job. All right. Side of a Now leaving side. Not sure. Let's see. Oh, let's do this one really quickly. 14 down. Let's do 14 down. Londoner, EG. That EG stands for kind of like example, right? Etc., right? Who a Londoner might be. I think we're looking for kind of like a name of the type of person a Londoner is. Of the type of person a Londoner. Right? A Londoner is somebody who lives in a very specific city, right? London. And London is part of a country, right? Where maybe we get this name from. So if that helps. So London, a Londoner. I should have a capital. Londoner. It's from London, right? London, England. And these people are called often I'm not gonna put an S here because usually we have an S here, but the name that we might call them. A Brit, exactly. So a Londoner is a Brit. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be Brit, right? So these people are called Brits. Exactly. Awesome. All right. Go team. Go team, go team. 16. 16 across. Ulna's place. We learned about Ulna's the last week I was here, because I know I didn't do this last week, but the previous week we did all sorts of words, all about anatomy. Ulna came up, you'll probably remember, right? And ulna is a bone we find in, let's say, the upper half of the body. It is part of this, part of our body, something, RM, it's part of the arm, exactly, part of the arm. And let me just get a really quick picture here, just so we can all see where the ulna is. Maybe if I can Google one. Here we go. Da-da-da-da. I think I showed this picture before. But there we go. We can see here the arm, right? So the ulna is one of these two bones here. The other one being the radius. We have the humerus up here, right? Our carpals. So the wrist bones here. That we can see in this picture. All right, awesome. Great job. So ulna is going to be an arm. And all right. Moving right along. Gosh, what are we going to do? Okay. Oh, let's do this one. This tadpole's home. Do you know what a tadpole is? A tadpole is... it's kind of like what a frog turns into. So a frog sort of has a couple different stages. It goes through a couple different life stages, right? Frogs, you know, they start with as eggs. They hatch into tadpoles. And eventually they turn into adult frogs. So it's basically kind of like a baby. Kind of like a baby frog. I'm getting a picture here of a little tadpole. They swim. So you'll find them in a very sort of specific type of body of water, in a pond. Exactly. So a pond, they're like freshwater animals. So ponds have fresh water. That means that there is no salt in there's no salt in the water. And ponds are where you will find a tadpole. All right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Let's do 10 down because I think we might have enough information to figure it out. A gopher, not a very, forget this word, but a gopher is basically at least we don't see this word very often, but it is somebody who does little little tasks around the office. Okay, so like an aide, for example, like an aide, things an aide or an assistant might do. Okay, so like little tasks that maybe aren't as important, that aren't very important. They get delegated, they get given to the gopher, the assistant. And there's another word that we might say, another word we might use for those sort of miscellaneous little tasks and things that you might need to do. Like, for example, sometimes we have to do these as well in our lives. You know, maybe we have to take a message somewhere, or maybe we have to go to the bank and then to the post office, and then maybe to, to drop off a bill somewhere or something like that, right? It's kind of like these are little tasks that involve kind of going somewhere, basically, right? Little tasks that involve going somewhere to do this, that, and the other. Errands, exactly, errands. ERREND, or errand, yes, errands. We do need the, there you go, awesome. Yes, those little tasks. So a gopher, a gopher in the office may also be given those sort of tasks to do, because they can run around and do all the things. All right, awesome. Maybe right along appended. And off, of course. I'm not sure if we're gonna get this one. Yeah, there's some weird words in this one. I don't think we're gonna get this one either. Well, actually, I wouldn't be able to get this one either. I know this one. But this one here, I think we might be able to do this one. 8 down, appended. What does it mean if something is appended? It is kind of, it's kind of when you maybe, hard to say what this is without saying the answer. It's kind of when maybe you take a piece of writing or something and then you make it a little bit longer. So, appended piece of writing, for example, has been made longer. Okay, so it has had some things. AD something. New word, because whatever, something on to it. So it has had some things, whatever this answer is, to it. So it has had some additional things put onto it, sort of at the end. This is kind of a sort of a fancy way to say something additional has been included in maybe a document or some sort of piece of writing or something. So an appended piece of writing or document has been made longer. So we have put more things onto it. So it has had some things put onto it. So looking for another sort of way to say that. to say maybe some additional things have been included, added on. Exactly, it has had some things added onto it. A-D-D-E-D, added on. So let's see if we put this in a sentence, maybe. Maybe. There we go. We would add footnotes to a text. Several footnotes were appended to the text. That just means that they were added to the text, sort of at the end there. So added on. So that just means more information was sort of given and it was made longer. Okay, awesome. This needs to be a let's see what else we have here. Let's do this one. 26 across. 26 across, plain parts. This one should be easier. This one will be easier. 26 across, some parts. A plane is not a plane without these. So all planes have these. It is like the part of the plane that makes the plane a plane. If that makes sense. All planes have these. Part of the plane that makes it a plane. The wings. Exactly. All planes have wings. Pretty sure wings is going in here. So let's put that in here. Hopefully we're right. I think we are. Yeah, I think we're right. Ooh, I don't know if we're gonna get this one here. Oh, of course. I don't know if we're gonna get this. What baby? So to go off course means that maybe you were supposed to go in one specific direction, but then maybe you started sort of going to the side, like you kind of slightly changed your direction. And usually it's like unintentional, like maybe it happens because you're not maybe paying attention or something. Yeah. So basically, going off course, going in the wrong intention, maybe unintentionally, or wrong direction, sorry. Wrong direction, unintentionally, I'm gonna say. So yeah, so we're looking for another verb that's sort of, we can see that it's conjugated, okay? So I've conjugated this verb, but this base verb here though, yeah, it kind of means to sort of change direction. I wonder if I could put this in a sentence and that might help us out. So I'm gonna do that. Maybe. And then the car. We have a V, E, D, D, D. Here we go. Here it is in a sentence. This might help us, I'm hoping. Here we go. I'm giving away too much information. But all of a sudden, the car, whatever this is, off the road. So it was supposed to go down the road and then suddenly it sort of went to the side and then it ended up off the road. There is this word that we use for that to sort of like mean to change kind of direction, to go off course. Often kind of suddenly, maybe usually unintentionally, I'm gonna say. Yeah, tricky words. So I'm gonna give you guys a second to think about it. There is an R in here. I know I accidentally typed it, but that was correct. There is an R in here, so I'm gonna put an R here. Help you out. Let's see if that helps. DH. Let's try veering. Yes. Okay, nice. Right, exactly. So we have an E here, veering. ING. Okay, awesome. Exactly. So to veer, that means to suddenly change direction, kind of go off course a little bit. So the card veered off the road into the ditch. Exactly. To veer. Suddenly change direction. That's what we're doing. Here we go. I gotta put this in another sentence too, just so we can see it again before we move on. So moments before crashing, the jet was seen veering sharply to the right. So it was moving and then it started like going sort of off to the side. Sharply means it went very far. It's like it was a very sudden change. Veered to the right. Okay, awesome. All right. Great. What else are we gonna do then? I think we do this one. So, this is a dog. And I'm just gonna double check that I'm saying it correctly, because I want to say Duchamp, but I know that's not right. Dachshund. Dachshund. I'm not a dog person. But this is a dog! This is a dog. It's one of the little wiener dogs. Like that. Dachshund. Little small dog with a long body, little short legs. One of these things. And we're looking for the type of doc that is short for doctor, so we are looking for another abbreviation of some sort of person that might help a dog out if it needed medical assistance. Let's just say that. So an animal doctor. So a vet. Exactly. We got a vet here. All right, V-E-T. Awesome. I got a little animal doctor. Which this whole thing is gonna be tricky. Shoe color. Let's do shoe color. Shoe color. A common shoe color. Kind of a light, I think this is kind of a light brown color that the shoes may have. You know, it's kind of like the color of leather, right? It's a common color of leather, right? I know there's like, you know, sometimes black leather, but black is dyed. It's a different color first, right? I think we're looking for the color of, like these shoes here, for example, this sort of light brown color. Tan, exactly. Tan is the color of these shoes, the color of leather before it has been dyed. So let's put that in here, and maybe that will help us out, possibly. Maybe. Oh, I think we can do this one. Maybe. Church site. 2 down. 2 down. A church site. I think this is a thing. It's kind of a big table that you might find at the front of a church. I think that's what the answer is. Let's try that one. Okay, something. This is a large table you may find at the front of a church, right? You would put maybe all sorts of different, I want to say, offerings and things on it to sort of, you know, And the altar. Exactly. Maybe that really big table that you might find. I'm trying to get a picture here of what this might look like. This table. I put various objects and things on it, pictures, candles, all sorts of stuff. And there we go. We can see the altar here. That big kind of table thing, very common to find at the front of the church. So let's put that in here. And yeah. All right, let's do a bias. I think this one's going to be like this answer is going to be less obvious, kind of. But if you have a bias, so if you have a bias, it means that you kind of what does it mean? I'm getting an official definition because it kind of means that like you know, if you're trying to like make a decision or something like that, your decision might be like influenced by your own sort of tastes or your own ideas. Like it's not really unbiased, like without extra opinion, like extra influence or anything like that. Okay, wait, so bias. This is bias. Let's see what the dictionary says. The action of supporting or opposing a particular person or thing in an unfair way, right? Allowing for personal opinions to influence your judgment. Yeah, so if you have a bias, you have all these personal opinions, these personal ideas that are influencing your belief or anything like that. Right. So there's kind of another way. We might say sort of the same idea. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining what this is. But another word to basically say that, like, I may say this: if you have a personal opinion that influences your ideas, it basically makes you pick one thing over another. And sometimes we hear this sort of come up, maybe talking about politics and things like that. Kind of like this here. So here we go. Maybe to present information in a particular way, especially to like one person, one side of the argument, in a way that's really unfair, kind of, probably because you have a bit of a bias. There's an S in this word. There is an S in this word. An S in this word. We may also use this word to just to refer to a position that is not vertical. So vertical, like up and down, but it is slightly to the side. So it causes a little bit of a slope. So this word is also used to describe something that is not quite vertical, which is leaning to the side, if that makes sense. So it's not quite up and down, it's not quite equal, but it is to the side, and there is an S in this word. And then we would also use it if, you know, maybe you have sort of like like a preference or something that makes you sort of like lean one way to like to support sort of maybe like one side of an argument or something, because you are not unbiased. Anyways, tricky. I said there were tricky words in this crossword today. This is one of them. I'm gonna give it a couple more seconds, and I'm just gonna pop it in here. Yeah, a particular way of showing or looking at something. Anyways, this word here is gonna be slant. And I know I'm not really explaining it super great, but we might say, for example, you know, a book might have a political slant, right? Like maybe it might be like left-leaning or right-leaning, for example, something like that. Basically, it's just sort of like the viewpoint is sort of altered, like to support sort of one position over another. So, anyways, a lot of people too say that, you know, certain media is maybe slanted one way over another way, right? So that is another thing that may be slanted, a little bit biased, right? Depending on whatever sort of political side it might support. Anyways, or the people that it might support. Anyways, okay. Moving right along. Slant. Tricky. Let's try this one, baby. This one might also be tricky. This is why we didn't start with this one. 11 across. Something, LL, something. If you parcel out something, it basically means you divide it up and then you hand out parts of it to different people. So if you parcel out something, you divide it up into smaller parts and give all those parts to different people. Okay, so for example, maybe money or something, or food, for example, you parcel it up, you divvy it up, you give it out. Hello, Gypsophilia, welcome. It's great to see you. Good day. Hope you're doing well. So if you parcel something out, maybe you have like a lot of something like food, money, clothing, then you will divide all of that up into smaller amounts, and then you will give those amounts to people. So we hear this word used a lot. We're talking about, you know, giving out or helping the needy and things like that, right? So there's another word too that we might use about dividing things, dividing money, resources, food. We can see that there are 2 L's in it. So let's see if we can get it. This might be a new word, but that's okay. To give something, especially a share of something, available for a particular purpose. Exactly. But to share, give a share of something for a particular purpose. Yeah. We often use this word, this one here. I hear it just used a lot when talking about budgeting. So, you know, governments might, whatever, some money to a particular project. So maybe a new, I don't know, a new bridge or a new sports center or something. We'll take some of the money, all of the money, or some of the money out of all the budget, and then they will give it, or they will, whatever this word is, to a particular project. So, So we might use this word when talking about budgeting. So a government may something, a part of the budget, part of their budget for a particular project, like let's see, museum. How about that? So we're looking for, oops, something. That means to give part of it. There is a T in this word. I'll put a T. There you go. Let's put a T. Gonna put a T there to help you out. That may not have been a big help, but I don't know. But we're doing it. So there is a T in this word. Tricky, tricky word. We could also use this word talking about time as well too. A lot. Exactly. A lot. A-L-L-O-T. You allot money or allot time, resources to a particular project or something. So there we go. Let's just put that in a sentence so we can see. So I was talking about money. So here we go. Let's give an example with money. The board allotted $5,000 to the recreation center, so they gave $5,000 of its total budget to the recreation center, but we can also use this in different contexts as well. As I was saying, we could use it for time. 3 hours has been allotted to or for, so those are the prepositions that we might use. This verb have been allotted to this task, so have been dedicated to this task. And we could use it for like other resources and things as well too. The museum is planning to increase the amount of space allotted to modern art, so it's going to increase the amount of space given to modern art. All right, great word, interesting word. Moving right along. I don't know what this is. Huge no. Be checkered. 4 down. Young one with an O in it. I think we're talking about young children here. We're looking for a word used for a young child, a little kid. Kind of an informal word here. So word used for a young child, typically one that is old enough to, old enough to walk. Maybe it's like still learning to walk, right? But we would not use this word for, say, a teenager, for example. So teenager, be too old. So, but for a young child, maybe around like 3, 4, I want to say 5, but I feel like that's even getting like a bit too old. But something like those early years. So yeah, so a young child. And it's a very informal word, by the way. Young child is very informal. It's for a young kid. I'm going to use kid. Another informal word is for one young child who's maybe just learning to walk. Let's just say that age. Very young child. Dun, dun. There is a T in this word. I'm going to put a T here. So we have one T. T-O something. Maybe that might help you out. For our young one. Double check too. You can see. Very little kid. A funny feeling we all probably know. We're maybe thinking about the word toddler. We know that the word toddler is too long here. But a tot, exactly. T-O-T. My mouse is freaking out. There you go. Tot. Exactly. There you go. All right. I don't know how to explain this. I mean, I do. If somebody was involved in a lot of maybe criminal activity or just, I'm gonna say, shady behavior. This is referring to one across, by the way. So one across, they may be checkered. So if somebody was involved in a lot of maybe a criminal activity or drug use or just shady behavior maybe, or maybe they were in and out of, I don't know, group homes or something like that. But if somebody was involved in a lot of criminal activity or shady behavior, we may say that they have a checkered, whatever this is. If people were, here we go, because we need a plural. So if people were involved in a lot of criminal, we may say that they have checkered. There we go. So we may say that they have whatever this is. Whatever this is. It's kind of an idiom. So it's not going to be cast. It has something to do with, like, you know, things that they did in their lives, maybe. Here we go. Questionable or controversial history. There we go. It's used to describe somebody with questionable or controversial history or maybe seedy roots, so they kind of had a really rough upbringing, like a former gang member. Checkered past, exactly, a checkered past is this idiom. So not super common, but that's what it is, a checkered past. Checkered past, yeah. It means that you kind of, a little bit of a spotty or scandalous past. Exactly. Anyway, interesting phrase. It wasn't in the Learner's Dictionary. So, little lesser known one, but that's what it is. If a person or organization has had a checkered career or history, they have a varied past, both good and bad periods. Usually it's more negative, though. Somebody with a checkered past probably was involved in a lot of sort of bad things or had a lot of bad moments in their history. All right, moving right along. That's kind of an interesting one. Let's see if we can get this one, because we have tons of words. We have tons of information here now. 13 across, a sight of a now leaving sign. I want to remind everybody that this is an American crossword, so this is kind of an American reference, right? So the United States of America, if that helps give you a little bit of a clue here. You may find a sign saying now leaving let's say a something T-A-T something P-O-R E-R, a state border, exactly. State border. That's right. Awesome. Of course, at other places, probably have in between countries, or here, provinces. We have provinces in Canada. And of course, since this is an America crossword, states. They have states in the United States. Alrighty. Super close. Here's a trivia one. So I know we don't really do trivia, but I think we have enough information here. And we do have some trivia people with us here. So, Goddess of the Hunt, 18 across. Goddess of the Hunt. This is Greek, isn't it? Something. Actually, I don't even know much about, like, who this is. I didn't know that they were the goddess of the hunt, but Artemis! Exactly. Artemis fits here. Let's put that in here, Artemis. Awesome. Alright. Moving right along, 19 down. 19 down. Smooth. Something here, smooth. I think we would use this word. So something smooth doesn't have any bumps, it doesn't have any texture, right? So in this case, being smooth doesn't have any, you know, bumps or texture. So I think we're using this word to describe maybe a surface, right? So this word we would use to describe a surface, maybe. We might use this word to describe a surface, which is level, so it is all the same, sort of, you know, there's no variation. It is all very flat, right? Which is level, or very flat, and, you know, smooth as a result is going to be even. Exactly. Thank you. Even. Yes. All right. We got even going on here. Perfect. And 23. 23 across. Fossil resin. What is resin? So, well, fossil, right? Old bones, right? And then resin is usually a sticky substance, that comes out of trees, right? Like sap almost, right? To sap. We might also call resin sap as well, right? So maybe it comes out of pine trees, or like maple, for example, right? And then it gets fossilized, it gets turned into amber. Exactly. A-M-B-E-R is what it is called when it is fossilized. This great sort of yellow, hard yellow substance. Just gonna get a picture here really quick of what this looks like. It is kind of this yellow color. And sometimes it would trap, you know, insects and things in it, which is kind of really interesting. But here's some amber. You can see here this yellow, this great yellow gold color. Very great. All right. Use a ruler. I think this would be easy. I think 24 down. Use a ruler. Ruler is like one of those. I have a ruler. I don't know if you can see this. What are these things? I guess it's hard to like see, but this thing has like little, it's like, well, I live in Canada, so everything has centimeters and inches on it, because we do both here for whatever reason. And it is this tool that you would use to verify the distance or the length of something. So if you use a ruler, you're probably you're gonna do this. So something. Maybe to find out how long something is by using a ruler. Let's just say, yeah, in this case, to discover the exact size or amount of something. That is the official definition. So we're looking for the verb. Discover the exact size of something, in this case. The exact size, because we don't really discover the amounts of things. With a ruler, we would use a maybe a scale for that, right? For weight, but here we're going to use a ruler to discover the size of something. Also, too, if it wasn't clear, the thing that I was holding up. To measure, exactly. There we go. There are some better looking rulers to measure. E-A-S-U-R-E. That's how we're gonna spell that. Awesome. All right. Oh, this one should be easier. 34. Crust. Much of N Amer. So we're looking for an abbreviation. Abbreviation or an acronym, something like here. For a country that takes up a lot of N Amer, which of course is short for North America. We can see that there is an S in here. So a short name for a country in North America. So we got that S there, smack dab in the middle. So we know it can't be in Canada. Which is where I am. The USA. Exactly. Let's put USA in here. There we go. All right. USA. Perfect. You know what these are? I don't know how global these are. I'm gonna link. So a crested bird. What is a crest? A crest? Well, I'm gonna show you a picture of what I think of when I think of this answer. Get this answer here. Crested bird, a crest. A bird with a crest has a bunch of sort of like feathers, almost like a little hat. Has a bunch of feathers on the top of its head that stick up a little bit, if that makes sense. So a bird with a crest has a bunch of little feathers on the top. I know that these aren't widely spread everywhere, but these are very common in North America. since it's a North American crossword. These are noisy. They're so noisy. But this is a type of bird. This is a blue, whatever this word is. And we can see here that they have the little crest of feathers on the top of their head. Maybe I can get a better picture, actually. They're very noisy. We actually have like a bunch of them here. Usually they're solitary, but they must nest by the house where I'm living because they have like little flocks of these. It's like, I don't know, the most I've seen is like maybe 10. Like so many. Jays! This is a blue jay. Exactly. Jays are little crested birds. Okay, awesome. Let's put J in here. And then let's see what else we can do here. You know, we might know this word. The college head. I feel like university also too. Maybe like the head of a university or college. It's an official, yes. The head of a division, faculty, college, or school of a university. Yeah. So 27 across. Very important person. Basically the head of a college or university. Sort of like the main person who oversees. Is it not the name of a baseball team? Yeah, so there's also the Toronto, the Toronto Blue Jays. Exactly, yeah. Exactly, we have the Toronto Blue Jays up here. Because we have so many of these guys. Guys kicking around. Actually, I don't know if they're like super common in Toronto. I mean, I guess so, maybe. We have a lot of them here though. Oh, so many. They're really noisy. Anyway. Head of college or university. So we have an E, we have an N here. Kind of like the head, almost like the lead administrator or something. Yes, an official or high rank in a college or university who is responsible for the organization of a department or departments. Anyways, there is an A in this word. I'm gonna put an A here. Head of a school, basically. The dean. Exactly. A dean is going to be the head of the university, college here. Exactly. All right. What else? I think we could do this one, actually. 23 down. Tweaks. If you tweak something, it means you make little changes to it in order to improve it. So just like little itty bitty changes, right? Like nothing huge, right? But you're almost like you're fine tuning it, right? You know, if you fine tune something, you make those little changes as well, make those little improvements, right? So there's sort of another word too that we might use. Makes little changes in order to improve something, adjusts, exactly. So adjusts, it's gonna be our word. The little changes, maybe like to perfect something as well. Perfect something. And notice too, like how I said that, to perfect the accent here. To perfect something, make little changes in order to make something perfect. You see how I changed the accent here and the meaning change. So to perfect, it's going to be that verb. We have the accent here on the second syllable. And perfect, the accent of the first syllable in the adjective. Interesting word. Anyways, moving right along. Plain parts. Let's do 40. 40 across. So to pay for everyone. I think we're talking about maybe dinner, for example, at a restaurant. So if you pay for everyone at a restaurant, you, well, we might say you pay their bill. You pick up their bill. Right? So you're like, it's on me, right? You would treat them. Exactly. You treat them to their meal. So my treat, I will pay for you. Exactly. Awesome. All right. Right along. 38. Down. Dietary concern. Dietary. The word dietary. We can see the word diet in here, right? Dietary. And the accent here. Dietary. So we know it has to do with diet. It has to do with the things that we eat, right? And typically if you, so usually something referring to diet just has to do with the types of things that you can eat here, right? But here I think they specifically mean if you are on a diet. So if you're on a diet, it means you are, you are eating in a special way to usually lose weight or something like that, right? So if you are on a diet, you probably will avoid whatever this is. This word here, you probably will avoid it. Along with, sugar maybe as well. But fat, exactly. F-A-T. F-A-T. Exactly. So probably avoid fat. Exactly. Although I do want to clarify, though, that anything related to dietary just has to do with what you can eat. So regardless of whether you're on a diet or not. So our dietary preferences, for example, our dietary needs, has to do with the types of food we eat, just in general. But here they're kind of being a little bit clever and talking specifically about being on a diet. Anyways, moving right along. Silicon Valley setting. Silicon Valley setting, where Silicon Valley is. Silicon Valley is located in the E-A-Y word, A, something, E, something. Dun, dun, dun. So we have two words here. We can see one already. Bay something. And I know this is trivia. We don't really do trivia, but we're doing it right now. Silicon Valley, that place where all the tech places are. The Bay Area, exactly. San Francisco, San Diego, etc., etc. A bunch of places, other places, I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Bay Area. All right. Cool. We're doing really good. I wasn't sure if we would like be able to get, especially like up here. But we're doing okay. Owed amounts. 30 down. Owed amounts. So if you owe something, you've borrowed something, right? And now you need to pay it back, right? If you owe something, it means you've borrowed something and now need to pay it back, right? Usually talking about money, maybe, right? Especially in this case, right? You have to pay your debts. Exactly. D-E-B-T-S. And notice how I'm pronouncing that as well. Because I do know that there is a B there, but we don't actually pronounce the B. It's just going to be debt. Just like that. Debt or debts in this case. So we have a S here. Gonna pay our debts. D-E-B-T-S. Awesome. Cool. Okay. I gotta find them. I spoke too soon, maybe. I was like, oh, we're doing so great. And then I forgot about this quadrant. A quadrant sort of refers to a square, by the way. Anything quad related to a square, quadrant, docking spots, speed checker, motion. Brutal. Okay. Okay, I think I know what this is. I know what this is, but it's trivia. I'm trying to avoid trivia. 41. Bakers need something that. So a baker is a person who bakes bread, right? Maybe also cookies and stuff like that. But I think here we're talking about bread in particular. So a baker is someone who bakes bread because bread does this thing, right? It rises, right? Bread rises, right? You sort of have to add this very specific ingredient to your bread in order to let the dough rise, to let the bread rise, right? So bread rises because of this ingredient, whatever this is, something. I hope I'm right. I think I'm right. So let's give it a go. Let's see. This ingredient that you might add. I gotta see if I can get a picture. Yeast, exactly. Yeast. It's they're like little they're like almost like bacteria or something. The type of fungus. Yeah, anyways. They kind of like ferment and they get bigger, they rise. Exactly. Yeast. Y-E-A-S-T. So I'm hoping that this is right. We might be wrong. but I think this is what it is. Because, okay. Yeah, I think this is right. 31 down, 31 down. Speed checker. So sometimes they have these on the side, you know, side of the highway, like the side of the highway or the road or whatever like that. It's almost like a scanner. It's, you know, it scans your vehicle as you go by, and then it tells you what the speed is. So this is a device that's sometimes used to scan vehicles while they are driving to see how fast they are going. The radar, exactly. So maybe the cops might use a radar to scan how fast you are going. See if I can get a picture of one of these things because I'm visioning it in my head. I mean, I don't know how universal these things are, but you know, we'll have like ones like these here sometimes, for example, and it'll let you know how fast you're going. Anyways, and this is a radar, so let's put radar in here. R-A-D-A-R. And maybe that will help us, or maybe not. Oh, yeah, maybe. Now we have an R here. Let's do 43. 43 across. Make sure you can see 43 across. You can see 43 across. Kinds. So just another, we're looking for a synonym for kinds, right? A synonym for kinds. What do we mean? We need the different, you know, types or varieties of something. So there's another sort of word we might use. Sorts. Exactly. Sorts, I think, is what this word is going to. S-O-R-T. Put it in here. All right. So we got sorts here. That is Latin. Gosh, I don't know what this is. I don't know what 32 down is. So if you happen to know, that's useful. I know what this is, but it's not super common. So, although this comes up a lot in Crossword, actually, so maybe we should learn this one. But yeah, if you happen to know what 32 down is, that is in Latin, feel free to put it in the chat and I will add it up here. Obviously it ends in an ST. I don't know really. However, I can hypothesize maybe about where our docking spots are. What types of things docks boats dock? So usually we might think about the dock as being this physical thing along the ocean. Like I'm going to show you what a dock is. Here we go. Sort of like this this wooden, often a wooden structure that kind of goes along like out into the water. But we can see here too, we have this boat that is tied up next to the dock. So we could use dock also as a verb to dock. This boat is docked along the dock. We might say this boat is docked along the dock. So we can use dock as a verb as well. And there are some places where we might go if you have a boat, if that makes sense. So this here 33 down. These are maybe like cities or towns located along the located at the shore. Usually it's like, you know, at the coast. Here we go. Located along the coast where boats can go and dock. Ports, exactly. Ports, the name of those sort of those seaside towns, seaside cities, maybe, you know, along in islands or whatever like that as well too. Those are ports. So basically places where boats usually come and go, and they can dock and stay for a while. People can get on, people can get off, etc., etc. So ports. Awesome. Great. We're gonna ignore this one then, I think. Let's do this one, because I think we could do this one. 30 across, a brief vacation. Brief vacation. This is so brief. I think we're even just talking about like going one place, even just for a few hours, I think. Yeah, a very short trip you might take in a car. I want to say in a car, but I'm not sure. You might take, that just lasts let's say 24 hours or less. You know, maybe to the beach, right? Maybe you drive to the beach and back, or maybe you take, I don't know, maybe you take the train to another town for a day, come back, that sort of thing. So 2 words we can see here. First word starting with a D here. And then second word here. Second word here. I think I gave it away in my I kind of gave it away in my description. But anyways. Word that means, you know, the little voyage. I want to say voyage, because a voyage is supposed to be a very long, difficult thing. But this is a very short thing. But yeah, when you travel someplace, just maybe for a visit, very short period of time, on our brief, very short vacation. So I know I kind of gave it away, but there is trip in here. So I'm gonna put trip in here, because I kind of ruined it already. Okay. Day trip, exactly. Day trip. I think it's 2 words. I wonder if it's maybe it is 1 word. I'm really bad at remembering sometimes when things are 1 word or 2 words. It is 2 words. Yes, 2 words. But a day trip. Well, you just go someplace just for a little bit, and then you come back the same day. A visit to a place. There you go. Official definition: a visit to a place in which you go there and come back on the same day. Exactly. It's a very short little journey. Expedition. Not really an expedition. An odyssey. Okay, anyway. Almost done. Almost got it. 28 down. Ring of light. Ring of light. I think here this is like what the angels might have in, you know, very common depictions of them. Something, the ring of light. A ring of light, you know, angels are commonly depicted as having these around their heads, you know, in lots of different illustrations and things like that. A halo, right? That ring of light. H-A-L-O. You know, sometimes the moon has a halo though, right? Depending on, so it can be other types of rings as well, right? You know, when they have like the, like, this is a cool picture. See, here we would call this a halo as well. Has a little ring around it. Or maybe the sun might happen as well. Anyway, what this is. But 28 across, a bowler. I gotta show you what a bowler is. And actually, this is a very common crossword clue. They use this a lot. And I know that we've seen this before, but it's like not super exciting information. This is a bowler though. This is what they're talking about. And as we can see, a bowler is a type of whatever this is. A type of something with an H. A type of hat. Exactly. Let's put hat in here. H-A-T. Perfect. I don't know what 26 down is. I don't know what 26 down is. This is another crosswordy one. Building wing. I mean, maybe we can get this. It kind of describes almost like the shape that, so 35 across. This word maybe describes the shape a building, a wing of a building may make. A wing being sort of like a section that has been maybe like added on to something. I'll try to get a picture. Okay, wait, here we go. Here's a good example of what I mean. Oh, Steed wears a bowler in the Avengers. Okay, nice. Yeah, this bowler clue I see all the time in the crossword. Okay, here we go. Here we can see what we mean by this wing. So we have the main structure here. We have like the main structure, and then they've built an additional wing. So an additional part of the building. This is a wing off of the main part, and it's at a right angle. So 90 degrees, perfect 90 degrees, right? And it kind of creates this this letter. If we were to like spell out this letter, or you can even maybe guess what it is. I wonder if I can see a picture like overhead. Anyway. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. It's gonna make an L, exactly. It's gonna make an L shape. E-L-L, okay. So that's that one. Let's do this one. 37 across. Rider of the waves, and then we'd be so close to being done. Oops. Rider of the waves. There's usually only one thing that you do to ride waves, right? We can see it kind of here in the part of this that's already shown. right? To surf means to ride waves, right? With a special thing, right? Special thing. A surf boarder is going to be the rider of the waves. You're going to ride it with a surf board, right? Exactly. A-R-D-E-R. So close. So I don't know what this is, but that is fine. This also not a very common word, but we see this in the crossword a lot. So I guess we're gonna learn it right now. So what does it mean by a commotion? A commotion is kind of like, we say something is a commotion when there's like a lot of maybe like noise or a lot of things that are happening. So here we go. Here is an official definition of a commotion. A sudden, short period of noise, confusion, or excited movement. So there's a lot of commotion going on. There's a lot of activity going on, maybe. And we might say it's ado, which I'm like not crazy about, but there is like one phrase in particular where I might use this. I would typically maybe like use like fuss for this, a lot of fuss about something. But yeah, it's almost like it's like a greater amount of like worry or excitement that's unnecessary, or it's like greater than what something needs. But there's like one phrase where I see this though. The phrase much ado about nothing. This is where I see this or hear this. You know, there was much ado about nothing. There was much ado about nothing, which basically means that everything, there was just more excitement, more fuss than something really needed. So here, maybe in a sentence, I had the feeling that the 3D experience would be much ado about nothing. So much ado about nothing. So people were talking about maybe making it sound a lot more exciting than it actually was, right? Or here too, another example. In the end, it all seemed like much ado about nothing. So very common phrase where we see this word. It just basically means commotion or fuss. Yeah. So interesting word. Remember this one because it's in the crossword a lot, actually, even if we don't necessarily say it a lot. But this is a great phrase. It was a much ado about nothing. People were too excited over absolutely nothing. And I think that's it. We got it. Nice. Perfect. All right. Anyways. Great job, everybody. That was a hard one. There were some hard parts in there. So we did better than I thought we would. So that was really great. So give yourself a round of applause. Thanks everybody for helping out. It was really fantastic. Y'all did a really great job. Some tricky things in here. I hope you guys learned some interesting things today. I do like this one. Something's like much ado about nothing. I think that's a really good one. Yeah. So I'll be back. So I think I'm going to, because Fridays are not good, but I think next week I will be back for a crossword on Wednesday. I'm going to try to do Wednesday and Thursday. How about that? At 1300 UTC, because Fridays are hard for me right now. But Wednesday and Thursday, 1300 UTC. I will be back. It does. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, I don't know this one. That is, I guess so. Yeah. So that's a new one for me too. I don't know that one. But ado comes up a lot in the crosswords. Anyways, so next Thursday, I'll put it on the calendar. So you can come back, do another crossword. I hope you all have a really good weekend. Thanks again for coming out. Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will see you guys all next time. Okay. Bye.